Welcome back to the Rise Personal Training Podcast. I'm Coach Wyatt here with Coach Fish.
What's up, everyone?
And today we're going to be talking about nutrient timing and energy systems 101. Super simple. Don't worry. It's not going to be crazy sciencey, okay? But nonetheless, we just want to touch on kind of the what you should eat, when you should eat it, kind of before or after a workout, and then just really looking at the, performance side of it. Ideally, it's going to boost your performance in the gym, thus get bigger, better results, right?
Yes. All right, let's take a look at under the hood of our bodies. So I want you to imagine that your body has 3 cars inside of it. One of them is like a Tesla. Electric car. It's gonna accelerate really fast. Think about when you're doing your first set of 6 reps or your first round on a finisher, right? You feel really good. You're like, wow, this is great. I could go like this forever. That's your sort of Tesla system. That runs on creatine, but it lasts a short time. Your next one is like a gas car. That's going to sort of kick on maybe your second set of 8 reps. When you start to feel that burn, definitely when you're hitting 10 or 12, but when you feel that burn that's sort of like gas, that's going to be running on carbs, that system. And in our last system, we don't really hit too much here, but it's our sort of like a semi-truck, right? Imagine a semi-truck. It takes a while to sort of get up to speed. It doesn't really go super fast, but you can coast for a very, very long time. So that's going to be running on fat.
So picture it's like the lifespan of what, a set or something, or 2 sets is the first, up to like 10 seconds, 5-10 seconds is that initial burst. Boom, you got muscle, we're good, I feel it, this is easy. Then you start to hit a wall of, oh my God, what's happening? Where'd my muscle go? It's burning. Okay, that's kind of you still got some in the tank there. And then you kind of have this background process on the whole time that's just giving you energy the whole day. But then it's more so leaning towards, when you're doing cardio or slower stuff, it's supplying energy, but it's not that quick burst, right? So when we're talking about resistance training, we're mainly looking at those first 2, right? We're mainly looking at what are those, what gives me energy for 30 seconds at a time, because that's, like a set. So really, what's the nutrition timing when it comes to, for someone that say they don't have a lot of energy, but they're like, I want energy because I want to perform better in the gym. What's kind of like the cutoff times, or what are they looking at before a training session?
Yeah, so I would say in order to feel pretty good for your workout, you definitely want to get some carbs in your system. So you want to be eating some quick digesting carbs. Basically, the closer you get to the workout, the more
Easily digestible
carbs you want to be having. So definitely not something like a whole watermelon, right? A few pieces of watermelon could be great. Dried fruit is a favorite of mine. I use that a lot. I actually have a 2-pound bag of raisins in the back. But things like pretzels, they also have a little bit of salt on them, which is good for when you sweat. Technically gummy bears, but you didn't hear that from me. But yeah, so those are going to be powering that gas system, basically like filling up your tank right before you go drive somewhere, right? You wouldn't want to drive somewhere on empty.
And we're not looking at it's like we want those simple ones, not like yes, rice is carbs.
Yeah.
You don't want to eat a rice right before your session.
Yeah.
You don't want to eat a potato, And this is kind of like the 30-minute timer, or like with once you start getting within that hour, right, closer to the workout, you're going to want these simple, quick kind of solutions.
Yeah, definitely. And this can be good even if, let's say, I know I've talked to a lot of clients, and let's say it's 6 p.m. and I ask them, oh, when was the last time you ate? It's like, oh, I had lunch around noon. Like, okay, that's not great. You might want to have a full meal somewhere around 2 to 4 hours at the most, right before your workout. But that's not always possible. Work is busy, life is busy. So even if you've eaten maybe 6 hours ago, sort of even getting a little bit of gas in your tank right before your workout can be a lot better than just not eating at all.
Right. And it's definitely tough, because I know, we're talking, a lot of members have different goals and all this stuff. It's like, oh, I want to lose fat. Oh, I want to build muscle. I just want to lift more weights. And it's one of those, well, we tell you got to eat less carbs, eat all this other stuff. And so you get into this mindset of like, oh, carbs, I'm not supposed to have that much. I'd rather have it in my meal. I'm not going to have it right then and there.
Yeah.
But then we also need to look at the gym's important when we're trying to build muscle and lose fat.
Right.
So we really have to see, it's like, okay, yeah, you might get less carbs allocated on your meals and stuff, but your performance is going to improve in the gym, which is going to help with the building of the muscle and all that stuff. So still, it's like you kind of have to shift your mindset when it comes a little closer to, or like more relative to training. But yeah, okay, so that 2 to 4 hours. And then what about like a protein drink? Protein drinks, are those better? Like, is that at the hour mark, the 30-minute, or like protein drinks versus bars, I should say?
That's a good question. Protein slows down your digestion, which might make you feel a little bit fuller and maybe sort of have an upset stomach while you work out. I would say protein drinks are sort of less so, just because, you know, it's liquid, so it's a little bit easier to digest. Protein, I would limit probably to about an hour before you work out, just so you don't get that full stomach feeling when you're working out. But yeah, like a bar might be like a bar and a drink, I would say probably an hour. A whole chicken breast, probably save that for a couple hours before you work out, though. You don't want to eat with a chicken breast in your stomach.
Right. Okay, so we have the 2 to 4 hours solid meal. Once you hit that hour mark, it's like you can maybe mess around with some protein. Once you're within that hour, you're mainly looking at, you can maybe get away with a protein drink, but also the more simple sugar type, foods there.
Yeah, definitely.
And then, like we said, that is mostly going to be fueling that gas tank, right? So like what the gas tank is what carries us through most of the workout. But then you also heard at the beginning the Tesla, the electric car that goes real fast, real quick. That's the creatine. So everyone always asks. We've talked about it before. We'll keep talking about it because everyone's still going to ask. But that's why we have like creatine supplementation. Yes, it's in the body. Yes, we get it with nutrition. Yes, we get it with our diet and such. But this is why, you do want to supplement with some creatine. Is the picture, the first 5 seconds of it is the hard bout. You're pushing, and then you hit the wall. When we start supplementing with creatine, you're basically just making that storage a little bigger. You're making that car go a little further. And when we're talking, like I said, about low reps or sets that take 20, 30 seconds, 10 seconds, 5 to 10 seconds is a pretty high percentage of that.
Right.
Okay. Especially when we're talking about just maximizing output. So that's, yes, there's other benefits, right, to creatine and everything, but that's the main kind of performance thing we're looking at here.
Take your creatine, guys.
Right. Pause the podcast, go to your creatine storage and go take some more. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, not too much. Come on. And then what is the post nutrition? What should that look like?
I mean, it sort of depends. Like if you work out at night and you've eaten dinner already, then you can sort of just do your nightly routine and go to bed. But if, let's say, you work out at 4 p.m., then you definitely want to get some food in. Get a nice meal with all the macros, right? You want to have some good fats. You want to get some carbs replenished because you've used them during the workout, and definitely some protein to assist with that muscle building and repair.
Okay, so simple. Okay, just get food and or don't. No. Now, does it matter? Does it play into it at all if someone's working out later? They already had dinner, but they do find that I don't know, maybe they don't feel recovered the next day, or they just feel tired. At that point, would you start to incorporate some carbs or a little lighter snack right after the workout if they are running into that issue of next day fatigue?
Yeah, I definitely think so. Especially if you're trying to build muscle, you're going to be needing to eat more than you burn. So if you're feeling tired, that's definitely an indicator that you might not be, that you might be eating less than you're burning. So I think in that instance, definitely a protein shake or some sort of snack after a workout can be helpful. Okay,
nice. And of course, this is going to vary from person to person. So it's one of those. Some people can eat 2 hours, a solid meal, 2 hours. Some people, when they eat that, they're like, I'm going to throw up during my sessions.
Right.
So this is just, it's our recommendation, but it's something for you to try. I always go back to the playbook, as I say. It's like, build your playbook. Okay, see what works for you. If you know that 3 hours you can eat a solid meal, cool. You know that now for the future. If you feel horrible the next day, but then you started to incorporate a little light snack right after your training sessions, you're like, oh wow, I feel so much better. Start to incorporate that more. It's like, so start to play around, kind of figure out your data, do your research, and then you'll find what works for you.
Yeah.
Right. And then as always, you got any questions, you just let us know. We're happy to answer them. And then that's all we got, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
Peace.
Later.